Hey, what's going on, guys? I think it's the second of the month today, and I always like the beginning of the month because that's when I get to cash all my rental checks. As you guys know, part of the way I'm supporting myself in the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey is through sub-renting apartments in expensive Vancouver. So I have an envelope here with 3 rent checks from my subtenants, and also on this day, I pay out 3 rents to my landlords, and the difference on each unit between my amount received from the subtenant and the amount given to the landlord is around $500 to $700. So I make almost $2,000 a month sub-renting apartments. And again, the beautiful thing is that it takes very little capital investment. All I have to do is furnish the units, because I rent them unfurnished and then sub-rent them furnished. So we're putting in the deposit today, which is about $6,225. So then I would pay out just over $4,000 in rent to my landlords. So good times. What I want to talk about is a concept that for me gives me actually a lot of comfort in pursuing something like entrepreneurship or anything else that's something hard to achieve, such as success in entrepreneurship. What you need to do to take away all the stress associated with the question of will I become successful or will I not become successful is you just need to make the commitment to yourself that you'll keep trying failure after failure after failure until you become successful, no matter what. As long as you look at every failure as a step forward and a step closer to where you want to go, you're going to feel good and feel like you're making progress. It doesn't matter how skilled you are currently. If a human being commits him or herself to doing one thing, eventually they're going to succeed at it as long as it's within the realm of reason. Although I say starting a business is hard, it's not like as hard as setting a world record or, winning the Olympics. Starting a business and scaling it to $100,000 a year is not astronomically difficult. It's somewhat difficult, but it's very, very much within the realm of possibility for every person. All you have to do is learn a skill, learn how to market the skill, and then learn how to basically scale it up. So it's not easy, but it's not that hard, guys. So if you just make the commitment that you're gonna start working on entrepreneurship, and no matter what, you're just gonna keep going at it, keep failing over and over and over and over again until you hit your goal of, let's say, something fairly realistic of $100,000 a year in net profit. Now, one important thing is that you kind of have to, like the quote goes, burn your boats. So if you're constantly dabbling between business and your 9-to-5 job, you're not really constantly trying. You're going to try a bit, you're going to get disappointed, then you're going to go back to focusing on your job, etc. If you commit yourself 100% to building a business, it might take 6 months, it might take 5 years, but eventually it will get there. And think about it, guys. Even if it does take you 5 years, that's okay. Like if you're 25 years old right now, let's say, and it takes you all the way until you're 30 to build a 6-figure business, that's okay. Then you can enjoy the fruits of that business from 30 years old until 80 years old. Back in my apartment, like I was saying, I was just really trying to enforce the point that starting a business is not astronomically difficult. It's more difficult than some things, and it's not nearly as difficult as others. And if you just stick with it and commit to not giving up until you're successful, until you hit, I think a lot of people define success as, they do put a monetary value to it. So let's say it's 6 figures per year of profit, $100,000. Just keep going till you get there. And whether it takes 1 year or 5 years really doesn't make that big of a difference. And your career is 40 years. So I see people giving up after 1 or 2 years. And I think to myself, why would you give up so early? Like I said, if human beings commit themselves to something it's almost guaranteed that if they stick with it long enough, they will achieve it, as long as it's within the realm of reason. And certainly building a six-figure location independent business is 100% possible. I want to show you guys one quick thing at the end of the video to reward everyone that's still watching. And I'm going to show you a tool I use to make sure that my weekends are productive. And at the end of the video, feel free to shoot me an email and I can actually send you this Excel document too. All right, so I want to show you a tool I use to plan my weekends. And let me just make a title for this guy. All right, weekend planning tool. Now, what I like to do is I lay out all of my tasks that I want to get finished during the weekend. This weekend, I wanted to send out an email about the CFE, which is something related to my school, deal with personal finances, work on my business, North Digital, deal with the rental situation because I'm returning to Vancouver for a month and a half. I need to figure out where to live, invest in Tezos, which is the cryptocurrency, work on YouTube. And I like to do a deep think each weekend, which is kind of like where I do a goal setting for the week to come, as well as evaluate how well I've done this week in achieving the goals I set last week. So I throw in all of my hours, I total them up, so about 20.5 hours of work. And this specific weekend, I don't have class on Monday, so this is kind of like a 3-day weekend. So then coming down on a day-by-day basis, you zoom this out. Oops. All right. Now, so looking at Saturday, what I do is I go through task by task, laying out what I do a start time, do a stop time, then it calculates the elapsed time, and I then total that based on what task I've done. So on Saturday, I spent 1.4 hours working on the CFE. I spent 2.1 and 1.2, which sums to 3.3 hours on rentals. And then I did about just under an hour doing North Digital, sending out the payroll for my staff. And that then totals the total amount of work. So I did 5.6 hours of work. Let me scroll down there. So 5.6 hours. And, I budgeted 5.5. Sorry, let me just scroll over there. There we go. So I did 5.6 and I budgeted 5.5. So I'm kind of on track. Now I do the same thing for Sunday and Monday, and as I'm recording this, I've only actually partly updated this for the weekend. But I want to go down to this bottom part, which is kind of how I keep track of everything, and I'm just going to hide the columns that are not relevant. I'll go like that. So looking at kind of the grand totals here, and what we see is I keep track of each task as well as my total work, and I get Excel to track the percentages. So I've basically worked 96% of the hours I budgeted to work on figuring out the CFE, which is my study group for the big accounting test. So that's good. I ended up spending a lot more time on rentals than I planned. So my weekend total so far is 5.8 hours, and my total budget, or total budgets plural, was only 0.5. So I'm just kind of way over budget on this. And this is just a way to keep myself accountable. And I find that a lot of the times you end up just going through the weekend, and by the end of it you have wasted so much time and you just feel really lousy by the end of the weekend. So this is a way to keep yourself accountable, guys, and to make sure you kind of set out to accomplish what you know you should have done at the beginning. I know for myself, a lot of the times I get to the end of the weekend and I think, man, if I could go back to Friday night, I would have gotten so much more done this weekend. So this is the way I keep myself accountable. Feel free to make something similar. If you do want the template, just shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to send out this Excel document. All right, that's everything, guys. Thanks for watching the vlog. If you enjoyed the content, please like, share, and subscribe. It means a ton to me. Till next time.